This to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in! What a comeback!
All right. Welcome back to the 28-3 podcast. We're all here after taking a little bit of bye week. It's summer, so, some of us go out of town, some of us get busy, but it was a good week off, and it's not like our conversation stops once we get off the air. We definitely got into it on, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot going on this week. The rookies are reporting for training camp, and already some news coming out about that. But, Max, out of everything we talked about, what's one thing that kind of stood out to you?
I got to tell you, Barstool Nola, that's at Barstool Nola on Twitter, posted their top 10 Saints quarterbacks of all time. And they asked the question, what would you change on this list? So I think we need to dive into this because this list is kind of problematic once you get past probably the top 4, arguably. But I'm going to let Nick go ahead and get us started on this one. Obviously, number one's easy. But, Nick, give us some thoughts after number one.
Well, let's just, before we, talk, do we want to run through their list so we can hear it
straight through?
Let's just roll through 1 through 10 real quick so that the listeners know exactly what this account did.
Well, you do it. Go ahead and roll through 1 through 10.
Look, I'm not saying it's a bad account. They post a lot of good shit, but, and this one is from June 29th. And so we're not letting them off the hook. Maybe they thought it was a good list, but if you look at the replies, that might seem otherwise. But all right, real quick, and then we'll get into it. Number 1, obviously, is Drew. 2, Archie Manning. 3, Bobby Hebert. 4, Aaron Brooks. 6, Teddy Bridgewater.
5, Teddy Bridgewater.
5, Teddy Bridgewater. 6, Billy Kilmer. 7, Jim Everett. 8, Taysom Hill. 9, Jake Delhomme. 10, Jameis Winston. So that's your list, frame of reference for the listeners. So we're gonna talk about this.
I think starting out, we need to acknowledge how bad of a list this. Is there a worse list for any team? No, of any team in the NFL, what list would look worse than this list prior to Brees coming here? This is the worst quarterback team in history of the NFL, maybe. Pre-Drew Brees.
When you take away number 1, it's by far the worst. But my question is this: are they taking into account only Saints performances, or are they going off of the legacy on a prior team like Billy Kilmer? Because this list,
Billy Kilmer's resume is nothing special, even on the other teams. I don't think he ever threw for. I know it was a different time, but I don't think he ever threw for even maybe 2,500 yards. Might be a career high. I don't think he was ever great. The only one on that list where you could say legacy outside of the Saints is probably Delhomme and Everett are the only ones to do anything on other teams of any merit, with Jake going to a Super Bowl and Jim Everett being on multiple playoff teams with Eric Dickerson and with the Rams. Yeah. Bridgewater didn't do anything after leaving. AB didn't. Bobby had an okay career with Atlanta after leaving here, but nothing special. Archie certainly didn't. Taysom doesn't have a career period. Jameis had the 5,000-yard season, but never went to a playoff game in Tampa. Even if you were to take in their full body of work, this is brutal.
I've got a big issue with number 5, number 8, and number 10. Because this is flat out ridiculous that you were putting down, or they were putting down in the top
first
10
off,
QB.
I agree it's ridiculous, but if we're going to say that, we need to be able to plug someone else in there. And I don't know that
give me one of the Billy Joes over some of these guys.
Jesus Christ. Honestly, there were times when Billy Joe Hobart didn't look that bad. Where I was watching him as a kid, thinking I think he could. If he keeps playing like this, we'll be all right. Now does that put him in the top 10?
If you're going legacy, yes. If you're going Saints, he's better than Taysom as a quarterback for sure. I don't know exactly what he did with us. What did he do? He only started 2 seasons, 1 full season.
Well, I mean, we know anybody before Aaron Brooks didn't, win a playoff game, much less make one, and you had Hebert getting you to the playoffs. I think honestly, you got to put Brooks ahead of Hebert at least on the list.
I
just
agree
given
with that.
given
I'm
his,
down with that.
well, I mean, given the what we talked about it. I don't know if it was it was our last episode, the 2000 Saints, and we were rolling through his stats. I forgot first off that he played for us for 5 seasons, and then you look at his yards, total touchdowns. Now, the biggest knock on Brooks is, like we talked about, what was his overall record as a starting quarterback? It was a losing record. But Hebert could say, well, I took the team to more playoffs. I'm assuming his overall record was winning with the Saints, just given the records they had when he was the quarterback.
Bobby Hebert was 49-26.
Yeah, and so
that's a great record,
right? So if you're going by wins losses, which a lot of people would say that's kind of everything when you're playing the most important position on the team. If you're looking at just that, comparing quarterbacks, you would say, yeah, well, Hebert should be ahead of Brooks. But
my problem with that,
Hebert have around him.
We needed Brooks to go win games, and we won games with defense with Bobby. I mean, how many different All-Pros did we have on the team?
Right. I mean, you could say that any other – I don't know. What do y'all think about this question? Could any other quarterback on this list have been in Bobby Hebert's position and still had the same record with the Saints, with those same teams?
I think they would have had better records because Bobby was mediocre.
I think you could say that with AB, with Jim Everett, with Delhomme.
Teddy?
No, I don't believe that.
Yeah, Teddy was basically a black Bobby Hebert, if we're being honest.
Teddy.
Jeff Blake, I'll go ahead and go up there.
Teddy's a fantastic backup, but that's what he is. That's what he should have been his whole career.
Yeah.
But
look, Jeff Blake is one I would say that about, just going off of what I saw in Cincinnati and the fact that he got Wally pipped by Aaron Brooks. I think if you take Jeff Blake and give him, a couple of seasons with the teams that Bobby Hebert had, I think you're going to see way better numbers and possibly a championship team.
Yeah, I think, and this was mentioned in the replies when this tweet came out. There's certain lists. Top 10 is an easy. We did an all-time Saints roster. There's top 10, maybe Saints teams. There's top 10 is just a popular way to do a list. But the issue with Saints quarterbacks is that once you get past 5 or maybe even 4, that makes it tough. Like this would have been a position group to say, okay, top 5, go. But it's just the nature of wanting to do a top 10, and because it's really tough to get through even this list, or even if making your own list, going 6 through 10 of Saints quarterbacks. That's
There's 3 clear tiers. Brees obviously is a tier of his own. Then right. Archie, Aaron, and I guess you got to include Bobby, or probably a tier of their own.
I'd put everybody else. I'd probably put Jim Everett in that tier.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
After that, the list should just end.
It should end. Like there's no, just have a top 5 and that's it.
Now, like you said, if we're talking about a full career, then Jake makes the list. Maybe Jameis makes the list.
Then Carr's on the list already. Carr's number, if you're going off full career.
If it's full career, Carr's second already.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't go off a full career. Which, maybe they're doing that. I don't know. It's
so they put Teddy Bridgewater 5. You know how many yards Teddy Bridgewater threw for with the Saints?
What, like 900?
1,502 yards. 10 touchdowns. He's ranked 5th.
How many games played does he have with us?
Ooh, I want to say 9.
8? Yeah, 8 or 9.
So like a half a season.
Right.
Basically.
Starts, I think it's 9. He played in a few more. He came in, let's see. Let me look it up. Hold on real quick. He played in 14. He only started 6. So, he's 5th on your list. He started 6 games.
Yeah. I think if you are putting Bridgewater on a list of even if your list is a top 6, because he's at 6 on this list.
Just do a top 4 at that point.
He's on 5. He's at 5. Even if you're making a top 5, if you're putting Bridgewater on there, like Max brought him up earlier, I think you have to put Jeff Blake in there because, he started 6 games when he got it by the time he got injured. And he passed the eye test. Like we were after the little bit of a rocky start with him, like we were rolling, and
he's a way better career quarterback than Bridgewater.
And a better career quarterback. So to me, the fact that like someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, look, Derek Carr just walked out. Jake Haener is going to go be a male model now, but guess what? Like Jeff Blake, came through a time machine. 2000 Jeff Blake just walked in, so it's between him and Taysom to start a quarterback. Who are you going with?
Jeff Blake.
I don't think that's right. Yeah, I don't think that's it's not a hard answer. And you got Blake not even on the list and Taysom at 8. It's some of these like it's one thing just to go, oh, I'm going to make a list, and we do this. I mean, we do this ourselves, and it's so easy for fans to do. Just say like, yeah, 1 would be this guy, 2, and then you go all the way down the chain. But if you start looking at them like making a binary choice, you're just like this one or this one, it starts getting interesting. Like, do you want Billy Joe Hobart when he was actually playing really well, or do you want Billy Kilmer, like Saints Billy Kilmer? There's guys that aren't on this list that you would definitely pick over guys that are.
Well, let me say this. So my issue, which I said earlier, with number 5, number 8, number 10, those 3 combined have barely started over a full 17-game NFL season for the Saints.
Well, then you got to throw Delhomme in there. That how many yards he has for us? 634.
That's true. But he was at least a good NFL quarterback. These other 3, oh my God. Okay, well, I could lump Delhomme in there too, because if we're going off of Saints stats, which you have to when you're doing one of these lists, because if you're not, then Derek Carr has to be number 2 right out of the gates.
So let's just say we're going strictly off Saints stats. How many of those on that list have over 10,000 yards?
Ooh,
10.
God.
Now keep in
I'm
mind,
pulling it up right now. So over
it's 5.
10.
It's 5 of them. That's it. Only 5 have 10,000 yards.
Dude, that's
career
for the Saints.
As a Saints QB.
Correct.
Yeah.
How many have over 60 touchdowns? 60 or over. Also 5 of them.
Oh, my God.
So, and then after 60, you're going to, 6 on that list would have been Billy Kilmer. Almost 7,500 yards for the Saints, 47 touchdowns, 62 picks. So for me, the 5 is where the list should probably end if we're talking about the Saints only.
Yeah.
And in the order I'm going in, obviously Drew's at the top. Then you're trying to decide between Archie and AB, I think.
I'd agree.
I'd probably just go Archie because I think he was a better player, and he won Offensive Player of the NFC one year, which was pretty incredible for a team that was awful. I think he started almost 140 games for us. Stats weren't great, but I think he was just a better player. Then you have to put AB above Bobby because he won a playoff game on a far less superior team than Bobby was dealing with. Bobby had good teams and
Bobby had great teams.
Elite defenses, top defenses in the league for about 4 straight years. I want to say we were top 5 for 4 straight years back then. He didn't have to score a lot of points. And when we got in the playoffs every time, the offense couldn't score. And, AB, we were more of an offensive team with AB than we were a defensive team at that time. And he won a playoff game. Stats are
okay. So my question for you, Nick, Bobby or Jim Everett at 4?
As a Saint, it has to be Bobby because he won. Saint. Yeah, he won games, and Jim Everett had I think Jim Everett's career with the Saints was very short, but also pretty underrated. I think he had 2 3,000-yard seasons. He had over 20 touchdowns 2 years as well.
He did 60 touchdowns, 48 interceptions total in his career.
Total. I think it was only 4 years though.
Yeah, Bobby was 85 and 75.
Yeah, so that's neck and neck. But Bobby had that 60% winning percentage with us, which first quarterback in Saints team history to have a winning record. I'd have to give him the nod over Jim Everett for sure. So
Agreed.
I'm going Drew, Archie, AB, Bobby, Everett, and I don't really want to talk about the rest of them.
So you basically went the top 5 in yardage in the exact order is what you just went with, which is fine. I agree with you. That's probably
but
what I
not
would
in
do
order,
too.
right? Because I think AB had
No,
more
in
yards
order.
than Bobby.
It went Brees, Archie, AB, Bobby, Everett.
But the list had AB after
yardage.
Bobby, and Bobby had less yards, right?
Right.
Well, you got Everett after Bobby, right?
I'm talking Bobby and AB. AB had more yards, right? Their
Correct.
list had Bobby ahead of AB, so I flipped their list there.
No. I'm looking at the Saints career passing yardage list, and it jives with your list that you just gave. I'm not going off of the Barstool.
Okay, I thought you were saying, what are you doing different than the Barstool list?
No. Sorry.
So yeah,
no, your list jives with the Saints career passing yardage leaders. Tops 1 through 5 is the same as your list 1 through 5. The Barstool flips. Actually, the Barstool was way off because they have Everett at 7.
Right. I put move Everett up in Teddy's spot and flip flop Bobby and AB.
Man, looking at this, like this, our history at quarterback is so pathetic.
It's kind of depressing.
So try this. Try and think of try to think of a worse team.
There's none.
There can't be.
Yeah,
right?
I was thinking like
there's no worse than this.
I would challenge any other franchise to come up with a worse looking top 10 list. At least
there's no way.
Bottom half of it.
There's no way.
I
tried to think of it. I can't. I mean, Houston, but they had Deshaun, I guess.
Now I don't know. Realistically speaking, I don't know
if an expansion team relative to the Saints. So there's no one close to this.
I don't know if I'm coming up with 310 quarterbacks in my head, honestly, for every other team. But it's hard to imagine even going 1 through 10 for all 31 other teams having this bad.
We don't deserve a top 10 list. We only deserve a top 5 list, and that's stretching it.
Yeah, and there's probably some teams out there that you think of like the successful dynasty teams. They had their QBs tenured for so long that their top 10 list, well, it's going to look better because if you think about like the Cowboys and the Packers and the Niners, they had long tenured QBs like young Montana. You've got Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers with the Packers. I mean, their top 5 is going to look a lot better than ours. But when you got those long tenured dudes, it might be hard for some of those, more storied quote unquote franchises to fill out 10 total.
Well, actually, you know what? Here's an exercise for you. So the Saints obviously have Drew Brees. He's a Hall of Famer. Past that, so let's just say we go back in history, Drew Brees never signs with the Saints. And at this point, we're arguing over Aaron Brooks, Archie Manning, Bobby Hebert is the best quarterback in Saints history in an alternate universe. Yeah. So scroll through the other 32
I mean, we
teams.
lived that. We were almost 30 before Brees got here.
No, I know. We did live it. We did. Like Corey only saw some of the darkness, but
I was in college when we signed Brees.
Well, hold on. Let's do this. I'm going to roll through the other 31 teams, and I'm going to say the team name. You two tell me the best quarterback that you remember from that team, and we'll say if he's above Brees or right around him, or if we can think of two that
we
better.
remember watching or that we can think of for that team.
You can think of. I mean, there's some players that you don't need to have seen them, and they're great.
Well, if it's above Brees, I'm going to say none if you do Brees. So let's just say
no.
Can we name 2 above Archie?
There you go. Okay, that's a good exercise. So we'll start off. Arizona Cardinals.
Kurt Warner.
There you go. That's 1.
Carson Palmer.
Yeah, probably. That's another one. That's 2. Corey looks stumped, so we'll move on.
Wait, I think I missed the point of this section. You're trying to say
name two quarterbacks better than the second best quarterback in Saints history, which we decided on.
Right, meaning we have one in Brees. Does every team have two that you would consider?
Essentially immediately puts every other team's top three as better than ours.
So come on. So Arizona, we heard Kurt Warner and we heard Carson Palmer. Both of them better than Archie over a career.
Jake Plummer.
So
Plummer was.
There you go. That's another one.
Jake the Snake. Was he?
So let's move on. Atlanta Falcons.
Matt Ryan, Chris Miller,
Michael Vick.
Vick. Jeff George.
Yeah.
Jeff George.
Okay, so we hit that. We hit it. Baltimore Ravens.
Lamar,
Flacco.
Lamar and Flacco right away.
Okay, we hit it. Buffalo. Josh Allen, Jim Kelly.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
Carolina, Jake Delhomme.
Cam Newton.
Oh, fuck. Cam Newton. Okay. Yeah, we hit it.
Do you put Delhomme over Archie? I don't know if I put Delhomme over Archie.
Yeah.
He went to a Super Bowl.
He went to a Super Bowl.
I mean, that goes back to the better supporting cast. I mean, that Carolina team was pretty loaded. I think if Archie plays on that Carolina team, he'd takes him the same place. The only reason he doesn't win is because it's Tom Brady on the other side.
Maybe so. I mean, I don't know if he made. I think he made a Pro Bowl to Super Bowl year, right?
So I think you could put Carolina in a maybe bucket for me.
Hold on. Let's workshop it. Who else we got?
They're also expansion team in the last 25 years.
Correct. 1996.
Which automatically drops their capability.
It buys you a little time.
Yeah. I mean, Kerry.
So we'll call them a push or a win.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Chicago.
Max, another good point is that's Kerry Collins too, starting there.
Like Panthers, Kerry Collins.
Right.
Like before.
Oh yeah. There you
go.
That's a close one. I agree with Corey. It's pretty close.
No, it's close. It's close. It's not a slam dunk either way, but I would give the edge to Carolina.
Chicago.
All right, Chicago.
I
mean, all the old dudes.
Pretty much.
We got like a Sid Luckman or somebody.
Yeah, Sid Luckman, Jim McMahon.
McMahon, yeah.
Can we put? I mean, they've had a real bad run the last 20 years.
You're gonna throw Rex Grossman on there for his Super Bowl?
No, because he was terrible.
I can't put Rex ahead of Archie. The Bears haven't had a great quarterback history.
Luckman's a Hall of Famer, though, like Brees. So the question is, are you going to put Jim McMahon in one of the best teams of all time? Shorter career because of injury, but do you put him above Archie?
It's tough.
I'd probably. What about Jay Cutler?
Look, I mean, Prime Jay was pretty good.
But I'm agree that's a pretty rough list for them.
It's rough given their length of history, but I still think they edge us out when you take Brees out of the equation. So let's go to the Bengals. So let's go Joe Burrow, Jeff Blake,
Boomer Esiason. Those teams were awesome.
Yeah, right.
Ken Anderson was all pro, I think. They got us beat dead to rights.
Okay. Cleveland Browns.
This is a hard one, but
Bernie.
You
going Bernie up there?
I probably would. That was a really good team for about 5 years.
Testaverde?
No. Not with them. Yeah. I mean, Testaverde was better with the Jets, right? But they also have Otto Graham, who's a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer, though. Fuck. Yeah.
So you got to put them ahead of us.
So with Bernie and Otto Graham, they edge us.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Baker.
Yeah. I bet he's in their top five, though. He probably got like 18,000 yards with him.
Baker's in our top five if he plays for us, buddy.
As I know all too well, he won a playoff game with them.
Yes, he did. Dallas Cowboys. This one's...
We can move on.
Just keep going. I mean, that's Staubach, Aikman, even Dak. It's nonstop for the Cowboys.
Hey,
so we go Denver Broncos. So we got Elway, we got Peyton Manning.
Yeah, it's over.
That's over. Detroit Lions. So we got Stafford, Scott Mitchell.
Bobby Lane. Wasn't he Detroit?
Yeah.
So that's over. That's a Hall of Famer. That's Stafford's probably a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So if you ever want to see the slam dunk, it's over before you say it. Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, goodbye.
Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Done.
You know what, though? I bet you if you tried to come out with 6 through 10 for the Packers, it'd be impossible because everybody played 20 years. I mean, Bart Starr, Favre, Rodgers, all played over a decade. There goes 35, 40 years of your history in 3 guys.
Don Magic Mikowski.
Yeah, he was the man.
All right, Houston Texans. This one's tough.
Yeah, I think we probably have the Texans beat. I think the only one you can put on that list is
Deshaun's the only one of substance.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have them beat. Okay, so mark that off as a win. We have them beat. Colts, this one's over.
You could, who would be the second one? What's the guy's name? Matt Schaub for Texans.
Oh, Texans.
He made a Pro Bowl with them, I think. Remember, they were decent. Obviously, he's not better than Archie Manning, but in my opinion.
Yeah, no, we haven't beat. This is the one we have beat.
All right.
This is the only QB history, but again, expansion team. What year were they?
Who, Texans?
Yeah.
I don't know. 01?
Panthers, Jaguars were the same year. Texans were later.
It was 01 or 02, right? Wasn't David Carr their first pick? Wasn't he 2001? I'm going to say 2001 or 2002 for them.
We'll look it up after. Okay. As of right now, we're going to mark that as a win for the Saints. That's 1 out of 31 so far. Colts, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck.
It's over.
Game over.
Yep.
Jacksonville Jaguars, Mark Brunell, Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, Lawrence may have shown enough last year.
You can't say that yet over Archie, though. Like if we're saying 2 over Archie, you can't say Trevor Lawrence over Archie yet. I don't think.
David Garrard,
Blake Bortles.
Oh fuck, Blake Bortles! Look, championship game.
Yeah,
I think we got them beat. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, okay. So that's 2. That's 2. Remember, Texans and Jaguars, 2 expansion teams.
I cannot put Blake Bortles ahead of Archie Manning. I'm sorry, or David Garrard, or Byron Leftwich, or I can't put any of them.
I forgot about Leftwich. Okay. Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes.
Forget it. It's over.
Alex Smith.
Len Dawson. It's over. Keep going.
Oh yeah, Len Dawson's over. Raiders. It's over.
That's over. Ken Stabler, Rich Gannon,
Derek Carr.
Yeah, they got a bunch.
Yeah. Chargers. Dan Fouts.
Justin Herbert.
Over.
Yep.
Rams.
Stan Humphries. Rams. Well, I guess Stafford's there now, right? Jim Everett.
Yeah, Jim Everett.
There's somebody else. Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ. Over. Yeah. Oh, here's a funny one. Dolphins. Dan
Marino and Greasy. It's over. Keep going.
Yep. Vikings.
Cunningham. Culpepper.
Even Cousins.
Even Kirk Cousins.
Warren Moon.
Yeah.
Franz Harkington. Well, Warren Moon. Oh, how many we need?
Yeah.
Over.
Yeah, that one's over.
All right. Patriots. Tom Brady.
Bledsoe. What's the guy's name? The guy in the 80s. Eason. Tony Eason. Is that his name? Tony Eason?
All right. New York Giants.
Eli.
Sims.
Phil Sims. Hostetler won a Super Bowl. Who was the old guy over there? They got a Hall of Famer.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Fuck. His number's retired. Number 15. Is it Y.A. Tittle?
Was he Giants?
I think it is.
Might be.
Bro, I feel like it's Y.A. Tittle, number 14.
Y.A. Tittle.
I think they've got us.
Kerry Collins went to a Super Bowl with them.
Giants Kerry Collins shows up again. Giants Kerry Collins and Carolina Kerry Collins were both better than Saints Kerry Collins, who's in our top 10, apparently.
Wait, no, it's not. We have 18 left, and we only have 2 wins so far head-to-head. All right, New York Jets.
Name it.
Testaverde.
The Sanchez.
Better than Archie?
Yeah.
I can't say that.
Anybody who butt fumbles can't be better than Archie.
I feel like we're missing somebody. Who are we missing here? Somebody we're missing.
We're definitely missing somebody, though.
Did we say Vinny?
Joe Namath, obviously. Fucking Aaron Rodgers already. It's over.
Yeah, they got Ken O'Brien. That's
what I'm
thinking of. Ken O'Brien. Ken O'Brien, that 83 draft. And he played I think he made Pro Bowls.
I was going to go throw out Bubby Brister, but you're right with Ken O'Brien. All right. Philadelphia Eagles, Randall Cunningham. Go ahead and throw Joe and Hurts in there. And give me a few more.
Oh, who was the quarterback? The guy on ESPN. What's his name?
Oh, Jaworski.
Jaworski, Jaws.
Jaworski, yeah.
And then
Mike Vick.
McNabb.
Mike Vick, yeah.
They got a ton better.
Oh, Jesus, McNabb. God, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
All right. Pittsburgh Steelers. We got Big Ben. We got Terry Bradshaw.
That's
Terry.
Over.
Move on.
Niners, we can move on. Steve Young, Joe Montana. Seahawks, Russ Wilson. Who's the guy?
Dave
Nick? Who's that guy?
Dave Craig's over.
No, there's another one.
They had who else was it? They had.
There's another one, but he's right. It's over with.
Yeah,
Dave
Wait, what era for another one? Who are you thinking about?
90s.
I mean, Warren Moon played there too.
Oh, he did. That's right. All right, Tampa Bay.
Easy. Steve Young played for them. Briefly. I don't know what
now,
Sean King. I don't know. Sean King would be in our top.
Brad Johnson, Tom Brady.
Brad Johnson. Jesus, Brady. Yeah, Super Bowl. Over.
They got us beat.
Tennessee Titans.
McNair,
Tannehill,
MVP.
Air McNair.
I don't think I put Tannehill ahead of Archie.
You have
I probably wouldn't either.
I don't.
Really?
No.
Tannehill hasn't. I mean, look, he's shown flashes of being capable, but I haven't.
We all love
Archie, but like Nick said, there was a year in the NFL where he was the best offensive player in the conference by the voters.
Like
Tannehill hasn't even sniffed that once.
He had 1 year with that 30 touchdowns and like 7 picks, 3 years ago, and they've kept going back to him, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse, where they made the championship game and all that. But I agree with Corey. I don't think he has a year where you would have put him in the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, and Archie won the best quarterback in a conference 1 year.
Okay. No, fair enough. So that's 3. So we're going to go this last team. We don't have.
But do we have everybody? We got Air McNair for sure. Are we sure we have everybody on the Titans? There's not anyone who play. Well, the Titans are the Oilers. That's Warren Moon. So they win.
You have Warren.
They win.
Yeah, you got to put Warren Moon.
Oh, no, it's over. Warren Moon and
that's over.
It's over. Never mind. We don't have it. We're back to 2. Good call, by the way.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Commanders. We obviously don't have this. This is Heisman and who else?
Oh, they got a bunch. Doug Williams,
Doug Williams,
Heineke.
Kirk Cousins is better.
Jesus, Cousins.
Kirk Cousins beats us twice.
Working through the 31 other teams, we came up with 2 that we're better than in quarterback history, as far as beating the player over Brees or behind Brees.
That was just who would have a better top 2 ever.
And second best. Yeah.
So we have, and they're both expansion teams, correct? Or recent, both in the last 25 years, right? For their team franchise.
Who were they, Max? Carolina? Texans?
Yeah, it was the Texans and
Jacksonville, right? Is that who yeah. Because we only gave Brunell the nod. We wouldn't give it to Trevor Lawrence over Archie because he's only played 2 seasons. So,
and that's close. If we were recording this a year from now, we might very well give Jacksonville the nod.
Yeah, I mean, but he had a good year last year. He wasn't great as a rookie, so I think he probably needs a couple years to pass Archie. He did make the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Archie never did that. But I don't know. Hey, you win Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, that says you were top of the game at one point in the league. We can start talking. I think winning obviously matters, but Archie had no chance. We all know that. And he still won one of those Offensive Player of the Year awards, which is just crazy.
Yeah. So
I think the point of the exercise, though, was to show how pathetic the Saints QB history is when you factor everything in. And relative to the rest of the NFL, like it's an abomination.
And this comes back to one of our previous talks we had about where and how we feel about Derek Carr. Why any Saints fan would not be excited about Derek Carr is mind-blowing when we've had no one better than him other than the 15 years of Drew out of 50 plus years. So
it's one of the biggest critiques, like I said, with our fans, and like prime Drew spoiled us beyond belief. Like you and I agreed on, Nick, where when Brees was in his last year, or mainly this second to last year with the 2018 year, and everyone's saying like he can't throw the ball down the field. He don't have no air under that ball. We need to get someone with the fresh arm in. And it's like, well, okay, so who would that be?
Right.
Who
this is who's while we're like 4th in the league in points and 5th in offense. It's like
people got so spoiled by having a player like Brees for 10 years and playing at his level that the second he showed like any perceptible regression, people lost their minds.
Right. Basically, they lost their mind because of it didn't look the same. That's the only reason. I mean, the production was basically the same. It was more efficient. Even it wasn't as explosive, but it was more efficient. And for some
exactly.
reason,
people got used to him throwing for 5,000 yards. Like, sure, talking pure stats, 5,000 yards is amazing, but is it a good thing in the win column? Not really.
Yeah.
It usually is a sign that you had to throw for that many yards.
To Nick's point, he was ahead of the curve on this because he's been screaming this, to his credit, for the past 5 years. Everybody was bitching about Brees and how far he could throw the ball, and I was one of them. And the reality is now it's like we watched the quarterback play over the last couple of years, and it's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like, we are wandering in the desert with no water after just being bathed in a fucking sauna and just having all kind of wine and whiskey and water just poured on us.
Yeah, I mean, you basically had kids in college that didn't. No, you literally had kids in college that don't remember what it's like not to have Drew Brees as their quarterback. So when they're seeing the quote unquote replacement come in the first year without Brees, they're just like, wait, this isn't Saints football. And then we have to come in like, hold on there.
For perspective.
That's the funniest part, though. There's a whole generation of people who know the Saints as only winners.
I can't imagine.
These people have no idea what it was like to grow up in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s.
Dude, they got to see Jameis and Taysom in this whole show, so hopefully they've reset their scales and will be happy about their car. But quickly, for context, his last 3 years, his 39, 40, and 41 years, he went 4,000 yards, 3,000 yards, 3,000 yards. Both those seasons, he missed 5 and 4 games. Otherwise, he's hitting 4,000 yards again in both those seasons. He went for 83 touchdowns, 15 picks, and we're trying to run him out of town.
And his completion percentage is probably like 70.
Yeah, it was over 70. It was like 73. And you're going 6-1 TD.
It's an NFL record.
Twice. He broke it 2 years in a row. Well, he broke the record, then missed it by 0.1, I think. But it's just insane. You could watch that and be bored, and Saints fans they're like, he can't extend the field. He's averaging 5 turnovers a season. He's not giving the team the other ball. We're holding the ball forever. He's on a 4,000, he averaged about 265 yards a game over those 3 years. Efficient as can be. Yep. Throwing touchdowns, that would have been if you go over a 16-game season like back then, that would have been over an average of 30 touchdowns a season. But that's not good quarterback play to Saints fans who got just tired of seeing him pick people apart, 15 yards and in. It was weird.
Well, it's like I kind of also compare it to growing up an LSU fan and then seeing LSU have all those once they started winning championships, basically. Their fan base completely changed into like, we deserve this. We're supposed to win. And it, it's like LSU football was shit in the 90s
for a decade.
And even in most of the 80s, really. And all of a sudden, Nick Saban comes along, you win a championship, then you win another one with another coach. And you keep getting the recruiting class. So we all know what LSU football is, but the vitriol that comes from LSU fans when the team even dips a little bit now is just crazy. Like, you would have never thought that could be the possibility when it was 1995. You're just like, can you imagine you went to 1995 LSU fan and said, hey, in 20 years, you're going to be pissed beyond belief that you didn't win a national championship and you're going to want your coach fired for it. You'd laugh the guy out of the room. Same goes for Saints fans.
It's also kind of funny that the LSU fan reset has, lined up so perfect timing wise as the Saints reset. Because after Burrow,
they're on the same wavelengths.
Oh, man, they're super happy with last season with the 4 losses, which they never would have been. But Coach O reset the scale for them and got them back to reality a little bit. And I feel like they were super appreciative of last year, which they should be. That was a hell of a turnaround.
It's like Coach O literally brought to LSU fans the best of times and the worst of times
in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, it's impressive by itself. But go back to the Saints fan perspective and the whole idea that there are human beings walking this earth that think of our team as just winners and nothing else is the hardest thing to wrap my head around. It's like when you're flipping through cable or what, if people still do that, I don't know. or your streaming service, whatever, and you see like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about like black holes, and you're just trying to wrap your head around it. Like I can't. No, my brain will not let me do that. Like my brain will not let me think of a world in which someone can think of the Saints as only winners. It's just
well, yeah, because we're scarred.
Yeah,
we grew up scarred.
I mean, I'm glad. Honestly, it sucked while it was happening, but damn it, I'm gonna sound like one of you old guys now, but damn it, I'm glad we did because god damn, you appreciated it so much more.
I mean, Corey, I don't know if I can properly paint a picture of Nick and my childhood where we were grasping onto any sign of hope.
Yeah.
That would pop up. Like when Mario Bates rushed for 141 yards in his first start, like I'm freaking the fuck out.
I was on that. Look,
we're deep in the collecting game.
I wasn't as refined and mature as you two gentlemen at that age, but I still remember it. I still remember it back then. I mean, you don't
remember that.
I of course remember Mario Bates. Here's the point. You know that you experienced like the shit Saints growing up when you knew that if you wore Saints gear to school, like someone was going to give you shit. Because it was or maybe it's the time that I was at school when I was in that like middle school era where kids would just say, they try to pick on other kids just because. And you also had other kids like being fair weather fans, like wearing Cowboys shit and 49ers shit and just trying to look cool or whatever. And I was always like, I don't know what the fuck y'all are doing. I'm wearing my Saints shit. But you would get shit because you're wearing a losing team's colors. And no one cared that they were our team. No one cared that they were picking another city's team over ours. And they, in fact, were from New Orleans. Like, they weren't transfer kids whose parents grew up in San Fran or Dallas. No, these were like New Orleans kids. My little brother was one of them for a minute wearing Cowboy shit. And
call out the case.
Yeah, that's a call out. He knows it. He had a Super Bowl party to celebrate it one time, but his birthday always lines up with the Super Bowl, so it was an easy excuse for him to celebrate his favorite team growing up. But yeah, you had that feeling of like, I'm gonna wear my Saints jacket to school today, and you kind of puff your chest out because you're like, some dipshit's gonna try to talk shit to me because I'm wearing Saints gear. Like, if you didn't live through that as a kid, then you didn't live through the hard Saints times, in my humble opinion.
So I'm kind of laughing listening to the millennial tell us about how he lived through the hard times.
Hey, man.
He lived through like a bad Drew Brees game. Like Brees threw for 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions that game. Corey was
Look, as much as I would love to be 28 and not 38, Max, I think you just have this idea that you keep throwing the word diapers around in times where I would have been arrested for wearing diapers. But but that's just you. But you do you, Max. You do your thing.
I know you recently celebrated a birthday. Shout out.
Thanks.
There you go. Happy birthday.
As the millennials say on the TikToks and the Twitters, another trip around the sun.
Oh God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Another uneventful number to remember. But hey, I will say last year was 37. So it was an honor to be in the year of the Gleason. And like I said, now we move into Smoke Monday season. 38.
That's okay. Smoke Monday.
We just need him to make the roster.
That'd be nice.
Oh, God. Jimmy Close, man. That's a tough battle. Yeah. And honestly, this is the perfect segue to the next couple of episodes. So we got a few exciting episodes coming down the pipeline. Corey, you want to touch on it anymore, or should we keep it a surprise?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have we'll talk about at least the one of our two guests. So we can keep the second guest a mystery for now. But the one that agreed, we're going to have Fox 8's Garland Gillen coming on with us. He's a been around the local sports scene for a while, but he's also a friend of ours. And so hopefully we can get some good insight from him, both Saints insight. I think by the time we interview him, we won't. I don't think we will have had our first practice yet, but we will at least have had the rookies be there for a week, maybe some veterans coming in. So Garland can give us some good Saints insight, but he can also maybe we can get into some shit that people won't see on Fox 8 with him.
Yeah. Garland, obviously a friend of the pod. We've known him probably better part of 15 years at this point, and always a good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always.
The G-Man. And then, from there, we'll have another guest. You could classify him as media, definitely active on the Twitters, very exuberant individual.
Active on the Twitter, pseudo media.
Yeah, but it'll be good. It'll be a good, fun ride. I think a lot of
it'll be fun. He's funny. We're gonna
keep that one under wraps for now, just to keep y'all guessing. And but it'll be a familiar face, a familiar. If actually maybe the face isn't familiar, but the name is, and the tweets are. But it'll be a good time. And then from there, it's we'll try to do as much training camp content as a podcast like us can do. Obviously, we're not we're not the Saints updates and the Underhills of the world. We'll leave y'all to.
Well, we're not going to be daily updates, but I think we can get a weekly recap.
Yeah.
We can get one in every week and kind of touch on what happened and, who gets hurt.
I know. I just,
who got signed, who got cut, who.
There will undoubtedly be plenty to talk about. I just pray to God that there's more good to talk about than bad, because it's just like these. I mean, like I told you with Chris Olave's Achilles thing when he sat out of OTAs. I'm so scarred. Like even shit like that has me freaking out. Like, it's gonna be tough, man. I just got to get through it. Just got to get through it,
dude. It's okay. Calm down.
How are you not more?
Chris Olave?
How are you not more? Not Olave, but like this whole team. It's like kind of like hurricane season, or it's just like just bracing for something, even though you don't know, or like very well could all be fine. It's just the injuries have been so terrible and like season changing for us past few years. It's just like, please God, get through.
Yeah, we are. Let's be optimistic here, Corey.
Let's do it that way.
Like Corey, we're due.
You're not wrong.
We're due. And look, Nick and I brought up we're eternal optimists as far as this team is concerned. Whether it's our viewpoint on what the record's going to be, or whether it's the injury forecast, like we are optimists. Sure. And honestly, we're due for a bounce back as far as injuries. Like it's been so far to the left. Yeah. Get it back to the right just a little bit.
I'll say this. There's the only silver lining I can think of, or one of them, from having so many key guys injured all at the same time, is that now you've got just that many guys, that many more guys, that much more motivated to come back and do something about it. So hopefully that rings true, and you've got guys like, MT, pray to God he plays more than half the season. Kamara is tired of being talked about as on the decline. He's got plenty left in the tank. It's kind of like the Drew Brees thing to me. A lot of guys on offensive line, defense, you name it. There's just that many more guys that are ready to say, I'm done being injured. Watch the fuck out. That's my hope.
Yep. But we got our quarterback, so let's be optimistic.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like, we have a quarterback, and I'm fucking fired up because the more I think about it, and I tune out everything I hear on TV and on the internet and all that, it's like Derek Carr's fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is overthinking it or underplaying it. Like, you're either here or you're here, and it's like Saints fans should be thanking the Lord that we have Derek Carr.
Yeah,
because we have not had a competent quarterback other than Drew Brees in our lifetime.
Yeah, and I'll say this before we totally wrap it up, but Carr is, because he's not so definitively, like, he's not a top 5 QB, but he's definitely not also a bottom 5 QB. But what I'm saying is, because he's not that, he's so easy for the talking heads to just push in whatever way they feel like talking about him. If you are a talking head, if you're an ESPN quote unquote analyst or whatever, and you don't want to put Derek Carr in the he's going to be good this year category, you don't have to, because he sits like right above the proverbial average line. We think he's better. I think he's better, but he's just right in that window of that lane of QBs to where
10 to 15. Yeah, he's in
people
the 10 to 15.
can push him into the he's going to be good talking category, or they can push him into the but look at last year in Oakland category. So we as Saints fans are the ones who are like, dude, we don't care what y'all say. Like you said, Max, look at the shit we had to deal with for the past 2 years. Like, we've got a guy who is like not going to piss his pants when he has to make a call at the line. He's going to like call, like I heard on the radio, he was texting McCoy like 2 days after he got signed. He was watching tape immediately and was texting his own offensive lineman to say, hey, the shit you did on the second drive of the whatever game, yeah, that's the good shit. But don't do that other shit that I saw in like the third drive of this game. You know, I mean, he cares that much.
I'll say this about Carr. I will check the odds on him for MVP. And only for the reason, like, that's I remember aggressive. When Peyton Manning was at Tennessee and he was, he was the man. And then he never won a national title. And then T. Martin won the national title the year after Peyton left.
I did pull that up.
Like, there is that is in play. And, like, I'm an optimist. I'm going to go, I'll put a little bit of money on it.
Well, I had it pulled up because we had talked about potentially talking about that as a discussion point. And Derek Carr's NFL regular season AP odds are plus 3,500.
Wait,
AP NFL regular season MVP. This is from FanDuel.
Okay.
So he's plus 3,500. He's right.
Okay. What's
funny is,
hold on, where's that rank? Like, what number is that in the pecking order of MVP?
It's pretty far down there. I'll tell you some surprising names that have better odds than him to win the MVP. I think they're surprising. Well, first off, he's tied with Jordan Love.
That's funny.
In MVP odds. Geno Smith is higher than him at 3,000. Jared Goff, 25. Jared Goff and Deshaun Watson are at 2,500. Justin Fields, Tua are above. Fields is at 2,000.
A buy, Tua maybe.
And then I think when you go up from there, it's pretty understandable. Dak, Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar, Hurts, Herbert, Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen's Burrow and Allen are tied. No, Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen are tied at 700.
That makes sense.
Yeah, those are the three that are at the top. Everybody else is a free for all.
Hey, 3,500 odds on take a flyer.
I'm dropping 100 on it. I'm gonna do it.
I was gonna say 10, but you do it. You do, Max.
I will. Nick will do it. I'm looking at him. He's feeling it.
Shit.
Yep, exactly.
Nick's like,
I saw the look in his face. He had
$100 car
because you know how that goes. It goes with the record. So
Yep.
That's why they were giving it to Hurts until he got hurt. He wasn't better than Mahomes last year, but they were going to give it to him. It was a great season. He would have got it if they would have finished with that 16-1 record with him starting. Him missing that last game and then losing the last.
It would have been hard. It would have been hard not to.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they weight the win so much. That's why, they gave it to Peyton over Brees that year, even though Brees had a far better season.
Here's the thing.
But he had a better season, hands down.
If we have one of our better seasons, right? We've had three seasons of 13-3. If we have a season like that, then Carr's going to be the reason we're winning like the vast majority of those games.
Well, health and Carr. Right.
Yes.
Agreed.
So we did get a break. We all, did the schedule episode and looking at that. That's a break. Even if some of those teams ends up surprised, like happens every year, you're still not facing any of the top 5 quarterbacks all year. It's a schedule break. Every game we play is a winnable game. It doesn't mean we won't lose some of them, but every one of them is a winnable game this year. There's no Mahomes, there's no Herbert, there's no Burrow, there's no Allen. It's every game I don't see more than a game or two where we'd be field goal underdogs on that schedule right now.
Yeah.
So that lines up for a better than expected run, and maybe a run record wise that's better than the actual team we have. And so you have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And honestly, Nick has cracked the code on it. It's all about the quarterback you're playing.
Yep. It's a quarterback driven
That
league.
was the first thing he texted me when I texted him. The schedule's out. He said, okay, I'm looking at the schedule. We don't play anybody. Like, that is the determining factor. It's all about what quarterback you're playing.
Yep. It's definitely, quarterback driven league.
Yeah. Look at the Burrow game last year. We had the lead in the end. We kind of controlled that game. We had trouble stopping them in the second half, but we were in the driver's seat that game. And then we gave them the ball twice in the last 5 minutes. Game over. We lose on the last drive. I mean, it's just that's what moves the needle in those tight games like that, or those elite guys. So not facing any of them, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, agreed. All right, cool. Let's wrap it up. So next week, exciting episode. Garland Gillen. We're gonna get him on here, get his takes going into training camp. We'll see where he stands with everything, and then after that, a nice little surprise later in the week, and then we'll go into training camp.
We'll make
recaps.
a deal with everybody. You got Garland next week, and if you listen into the Garland episode, we'll announce who the next guest is on that episode. So go from there.
There it is.
All right. Thanks for listening to another episode of 28 to 3 podcast.
What a comeback!